final big game of the weekend was, a barn burner in the SEC. Number 20 Ole Miss holds on at home 55-49 over the 13th ranked LSU Tigers. Ole Miss had 21 points in the first quarter and in the fourth quarter to upset the Tigers at home. It was kind of in the middle where it felt like your typical ho hum Ole Miss underperformance against a big team. And yet, coming into this game, there was a very real storyline, Trey, where Lane Kiffin had yet to really have a legacy win, a program defining win in a game that counted. And Brian Kelly still has that moniker that he just can't win the big game. Now, Garrett, if you'll bring it back on over to Trey here, we don't have the blue curtain a la Tiger Woods, but Mr. Reeves, is there anything you'd like to say to the Ole Miss faithful?
Listen, I am sorry, Ole Miss fans, that I forgot you're playing against Brian Kelly this week, because I should have remembered that. Oh, yes, bring it up full screen. Look, Lane Kiffin got a great win tonight. I'm all jokes aside, he got a fantastic win tonight. I'm sorry I doubted you, Lane, but I think you'd had a better strategy this week. I think you stayed off of Twitter. You kept your thoughts to yourself about who's calling the defensive plays on the other side of the football, and you came in with a good game plan. Your team didn't fold. Congratulations, great win. I know they're having fun in Oxford, Mississippi tonight, but again, I apologize for forgetting that you were playing against Brian Kelly and not factoring that into the equation in this one.
I thought you were going to go with the Conor McGregor. I apologize to absolutely
No.
nobody there.
I do apologize, because it is a big deal for Lane Kiffin to get a signature win. It's the first time he's knocked off either LSU or Alabama, I believe, unless I'm forgetting a win against LSU while they were down. But it's a big deal for Ole Miss, and it just throws the SEC West into absolute chaos, because we were sitting here this time last week thinking that LSU was in the driver's seat. They had done everything they needed to do to get back on track after, they looked awful on opening weekend against Florida State, but they had gotten back on track, gotten a few conference wins. Now Ole Miss just throws the SEC West race completely on its head by knocking them off in Oxford. So, this SEC West race is going to be absolutely chaotic down the stretch this year. And Ole Miss has put themselves right back in the thick of it. So congratulations to Lane Kiffin. We'll see if the consistency can hold up. But, a great win tonight. No negative things that I can say about it.
It's wild to go back to the preseason, and we were squinting at LSU's schedule to find one loss, let alone two, by the end of September. And yet that's where we sit. LSU is eliminated from playoff contention. Just like that, their ultimate goal and what a lot of folks were predicting out of the SEC West is over. Now, can they reach Atlanta still? Absolutely. They need to run the table. But I tell you what, my take that A&M knocks them off in the final game of the regular season, that's starting not to look so bad, especially with a relatively complete game from the Aggies today. LSU just plays zero defense. Now, Ole Miss plays zero defense, and we know that, right? That's kind of their brand. They've improved a little bit in the secondary, but boy, it wasn't on display tonight. Daniels threw for over 400 yards. But for LSU, a team that at time just stifled the life out of their opponents, especially with that pass rush, they're not the same team this year. They brought in a bunch of transfers in the secondary. Harold Perkins, I still feel like, is being just grossly underutilized after an award-winning season last year. And then you give up 177 on the ground to Quinshon Judkins, who, again, battling injury to start this year. But out of all the games that I would have picked for him to explode, this was not that game. I just feel like this is a statement win for Ole Miss, but I also feel like, again, the SEC West continues to throw us into this blender where we don't really know who's good at this point.
No.
I mean, Garrett, what's the temperature there?
The temperature in Oxford is pretty hot right now, and it's because they did what I told them they needed to do, and it's to give this man the ball. You need to give Quinshon Judkins the ball. What they do, they gave him the ball 33 times. He took it 177 yards and a touchdown. I said this on the preview. I said, guys, I don't understand how they're not giving their best player any more play. Last week, they gave him the ball 13 times against Alabama. You have to be able to give your guy the ball. And when he's the guy on your team and he's that talented, you can't just give him, 13 touches for a whole game. So you do that, look, all of a sudden your offense works a little bit better. So, congratulations. It was awesome. Good for them. I'm not sure that Ole Miss has what it takes to run through a lot of it because I'm still wondering if we know too much about defenses and offenses right now. I think that right now we're thinking, oh, this team looks like they have a good defense, or this team looks like they have a good offense. And we're still kind of waiting to see who's who. I think Bama might have a really, really good defense, and the Ole Miss just didn't show up last week, right? That might be what ended up happening. I'm not 100% sure. I'm curious to see what happens when they play other good defenses and who those good defenses are. I mean, is it A&M? They looked pretty good today on defense. Is it, there have been some good defenses around. Auburn played pretty well on defense today against Georgia. So I think, that had to be something you start to think about as well. So just kind of curious where they go from here, but they've got a heck of an offense. So they can definitely throw the ball around and run it when they have to. So yeah, I think it's something they're going to have to do to go through the end of their schedule. And if they want to compete, they already do have the conference loss. So they're going to have to, upset a couple people that are going to be ahead of them, a Texas A&M, possibly depending on the outcome of next week. They're going to have to figure that out as well. So curious to see where they go from here. I think you're breathing a lot easier now, though, than if you already had the 2 losses and you had just lost to LSU.
Over 800 yards passing in this game, 540 yards rushing, and it felt like Ole Miss gets that last minute touchdown drive. I felt like Trey Harris should have gone down on the 1 yard line. He scores, gets the touchdown, leaves. What was it? 30 something seconds left on the clock for Jaden Daniels to get down the field. They get a big pass play. There's a horse collar. It felt like Ole Miss tried to do everything to throw the game away, and then as our buddy Parker at Stats of War tweeted out, Daniels is really bad under pressure. And in those moments where he needs to make a big throw, he stared down his wide receiver on both pass plays into the end zone. Threw the first ball when they had multiple shots at the end zone. He threw the first ball into quadruple coverage. Daniels just, to me, he's a really good quarterback, but we've seen kind of time and time again, doesn't maybe have that X factor to win the big game. But yeah, the SEC West completely open. Trey, final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I just, one more praise on Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, which just sounds gross to say out loud, but just kudos to them for being resilient, right? They could have folded like a lawn chair when they fell down in this game. I really thought the coaching decisions were questionable to end the first half when they're throwing with about 50 seconds left. They throw 2 incomplete passes, get a sack, give it right back, and they almost give up a field goal to tie the game right there going into halftime. And you think, you do all that work, you play almost a perfect half offensively, and you're going to have a tie game to show for it going into halftime. And they really, LSU, credit to them for coming out in the second half and putting together a great offensive game plan, taking the lead back, but Ole Miss didn't falter. And that's something that you haven't been able to say about Lane Kiffin teams in the past. So kudos to them. They got it done. Now we got to see it consistently to be a true SEC West contender.
Gracious. How about